Some evenings walk into your life quietly, wearing the disguise of routine, and you don't realize they're about to rearrange something inside you. That night felt exactly like that, soft around the edges, ordinary at first glance, but humming with a shift I couldn't name. I had no idea how deeply it would shape the way I saw myself, or the people I loved most. I had just dragged myself back home after a long jog, every muscle protesting, my clothes clinging to me in a warm, tired ache. All I could think about was a steaming shower. The house greeted me with its familiar stillness, the kind that settles into a home after years of loss. Ever since my Uncle David passed, silence had become a permanent resident. My Aunt Sarah and my cousin Lena tried to keep the days light, but some echoes linger longer than others. You learn to live around them. You learn to breathe through the quiet. Still, that evening felt even more hushed than usual. Their shoes weren't by the door. No soft chatter drifted from the kitchen. I thought they were out, maybe running errands or dropping by a neighbor's place. The emptiness didn't bother me, not anymore. It had become a kind of companion, a blanket I wrapped around myself on days when emotions felt too loud. Tossed my running gear aside and headed straight for the bathroom. The moment the warm water hit my skin, everything softened. Thoughts drifted, tension peeled away. For the first time all day, I let myself relax. There was no rush, no one waiting. I stayed longer than I meant to, letting the water wash away the world outside the bathroom door, wrapped in nothing but a towel. Hair dripping down my shoulders, I stepped out with the same ease I always had when I believed the house was empty. The floor felt chilly under my feet, but I didn't mind. I was floating somewhere between comfort and fatigue. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't guarding myself. I was simply unfiltered. But the moment I turned into the family room, everything inside me jolted to a stop. Sarah and Lena were sitting right there on the sofa. Quiet, still, watching. My pulse crashed in my ears. My breath caught. Heat rushed to my face so fast it almost burned. I couldn't think, couldn't speak. I just stood there, exposed not in body, but in something far more fragile, my guard, my composure, my sense of control. And in their eyes, I couldn't tell if I saw surprise, sympathy, or something unspoken lingering in the air between us. Sorry, I thought. My voice barely worked. I grabbed my things clumsily, heart racing so loudly I was sure they could hear it. I bolted into my bedroom and shut the door with a shaky breath. Then I pressed my back against it, trying to slow everything inside me. Embarrassment isn't loud, it's sharp, quick, stinging. I felt ridiculous, exposed, not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, in every way that makes a person feel suddenly too human. In the hours after, I tried convincing myself it didn't matter. People forget. Moments pass. Life moves. But something inside me knew it wouldn't fade that easily. Not for them, not for me. And it didn't, because the next day, Lena's glances lingered a little too long. The air between us shifted. Something unspoken threaded itself into the space we shared, subtle but impossible to ignore. Every conversation felt charged. Every laugh had an undertone. Every silence felt full, heavy with meaning. Was it in my head? Was she thinking about that moment too? Or was I just projecting my own embarrassment onto her? Days went on like that, tiny moments, stacked on top of tiny moments. A comment that felt loaded. A smile that came with a flicker of something warm. A closeness that didn't used to be there. I tried brushing it all away, but every little detail tugged at me. And one night, just as I was trying to lose myself in an online game and forget everything for a while, Lena walked into my room with a playful smirk. The kind she used to wear before life got heavy, before everything changed between us. Maya, she said, leaning against the doorframe. You good? Her voice was light, but something inside me tightened. Because this time, the moment felt different, charged, new, like a quiet question neither of us had dared to ask. And I had no idea what was about to happen next. Lena stepped farther into the room, her smirk softening into something gentler, something almost searching. I paused my game, letting the screen fade into background light. For a moment, we just looked at each other, both unsure of what the other was thinking, both trying to act normal while carrying more emotion than either of us admitted. She sat on the edge of my bed, knees tucked slightly inward, her fingers picking at the hem of her sleeve the way she always did when something weighed on her mind. We talked about nothing, at first another class she disliked, a movie she wanted to watch, the usual teasing flickering between us. But beneath the surface, I felt that quiet shift again. A softness, a tension, a kind of emotional closeness that wasn't wrong, but wasn't the same as before either. It was tender, gentle, something born not from the awkward moment we shared, but from everything we'd carried silently since David's passing. We weren't drifting anymore. We were trying, in our own clumsy ways, to meet each other halfway. After she left that night, I lay awake thinking about her expression, the sincerity in it, the warmth that felt new yet familiar. I wasn't sure if it was comfort we both needed or connection we both missed. Either way, I understood one thing. That moment in the family room hadn't driven us apart. It had cracked something open, revealing feelings none of us had been brave enough to name. Days passed, and our rhythm slowly changed. Lena stuck around more, drifting into the kitchen when I was there, or pulling up a chair beside me when I studied. We'd share snacks, whisper jokes, laugh at tiny things. Sometimes she'd lean her head against my shoulder without thinking, and sometimes I'd let it stay there longer than expected. It didn't feel complicated. It felt healing, like two people learning to be gentler with each other after life had been too heavy for too long. One afternoon, while Sarah was cooking, I stayed beside her, chopping vegetables as she stirred the pot. The quiet between us wasn't uncomfortable, it felt meaningful, the kind that only exists between people who've lived through the same ache. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft, almost trembling. You know, it's been really hard adjusting. For all of us. She didn't need to say David's name. It lived in the air with us. I nodded, setting the knife down. I know, Sarah. I feel it too. She gave me a tired smile. I just want us to be good to each other. To stay close. Even when moments get strange or uncomfortable. The way she said it told me she hadn't forgotten anything. She had simply chosen understanding over discomfort, compassion over judgment. And in that moment, I admired her more than I ever had. As weeks passed, the house began to shift again. The still corners warmed. The quiet rooms filled with small, ordinary sounds. Sarah humming while folding laundry, Lena giggling at something on her phone, our dog barking at birds outside. It all felt like color returning to a faded photograph. A home remembering what it meant to breathe. But the biggest change came one twilight evening, when the sun dipped low and the air felt heavier with emotion. I was studying in my room when Lena knocked gently and entered without waiting. She held a sketchpad to her chest, her eyes bright with anticipation. Wordlessly, she handed it to me. When I opened it, my breath caught. Page after page overflowed with drawings of us, me studying at the table, Sarah laughing in the kitchen, David sitting on the porch from an old memory, our dog curled at our feet. There were notes scribbled in the margins, little jokes, tiny reminders of moments I had long forgotten. It was a map of our family's heart, drawn in pencil and affection. This is... My voice cracked. It's us, she whispered. I just wanted you to have it. I felt something swell inside me, a mixture of gratitude, love, and the ache of everything we'd lost and everything we were slowly rebuilding. I pulled her into a hug, one that lingered, one that spoke more honestly than words ever could. We stayed that way for a long moment, two people clinging to the comfort of being seen. Understood held up later that night. After hours of talking and sharing memories, I realized the truth. That awkward, exposed moment had been the spark we didn't know we needed. It forced us to confront the distance growing between us and opened a path toward healing. Vulnerability had become the bridge we'd been missing, and yet, as I lay in bed, replaying the kindness in Lena's eyes, a quiet question surfaced, one that carried a mix of worry and warmth. If one moment could change so much between us, what would the next moment bring?